a little while ago. Hopefully they'll come back, but if you look in the scope, you can at least see the nest. So this nest was actually, and the whole movement to save this nest spawned National Save the Eagles Day, which we're celebrating today. And this was a nest that basically everybody, including the state of New Jersey, had given up on. That property was owned by a company called Skymark back in 2011, and they wanted to develop it. It was also a polluted area that had to be cleaned up. So they put the permits into the state and U.S. Fish and Wildlife to take that nest down. And we just we had a line in the sand, and we said it's not going to happen. We'll do whatever we have to do to save that nest. And we did. And we did, long story short. We did. So when people tell you that you can't do something, or a little organization can't fight a billion-dollar corporation, you can. You can if you got the right thing on your side. And looking for us over time. Now we did win. What we won was the U.S. Fish and Wildlife said the nest had to stay, and that Skymark had to create a 10-acre eagle farm. Since then, our friends from Skymark, they've gone bankrupt. Terrible thing. But New Jersey Transit owns the property now, and they plan on a bus terminal. So we're certainly going to have to watch the situation. They're not going to touch the nest. The nest is not in danger of it being developed. But how close they could get to it, that's regulated by the federal government and the Eagle Protection Act. I think what worries us now, most of all, if you've read, the Eagles have made a fabulous comeback. There's no doubt about that. But what you see now is that they're planning on taking the bald eagle off New Jersey endangered species list. And and on one hand, it's a great sign of the Eagles making a comeback when nobody ever thought they could. On the other hand, to us, it gives just the signal to developers, now we can go and do what we want to do. So we think with all the threats from development, with the threats from avian flu, that the eagle should stay on the endangered species list. It's much too early to remove it, because it's very, very easy for it to go backwards again. It's one thing if the nest is on 40,000 acres up in a state forest. It's another thing if a nest is in urban and suburban areas, what's going to happen to them? And to me, it's just a giveaway to developers to remove that bird off the nest, and it's political. So they should just leave it on until further studies are done years from now, and give a chance for them to establish themselves more. So that's what we're doing here today, not only to recognize the great comeback of the eagle, but to make sure the focus stays on still protecting and preserving these birds. Of course, it's hard fought as it was for them to come and return when nobody thought they could. It's much, much easier for them to disappear again, and not to have the joy of us and our kids and grandkids seeing bald eagles here again. So hopefully, we're all voice your opinion. They tell me it's a done deal, Don. It's going to happen. Well, we've heard that stuff before. What's that?
Is there a timeline?
Yeah, there's a timeline, I think, for public comments, which I think will go up to March, if I'm not mistaken. But and there's some environmental groups that are in favor of removing it from the list in the state. God knows why, but certainly not us. And look, and even so, they're still protected by federal law, by U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the Eagle Protection Act, that they just can't take a nest. You can't only encroach so far onto a nest. But what happens to the area around it? What happens to the areas to hunt and fish? There's enough warehouses, there's enough condos going up every inch of ground. You don't even have room to breathe anymore. And now they go take the bird off the endangered list, which I think is crazy and totally irresponsible. But that's me.
What's the definition of disturbed? disturbing a nest?
So that's a good question. That's a good question. So, and that's always under debate when we end up calling U.S. Fish and Wildlife or the state. You know, disturbance could be maybe they'll just take from January to July during nesting season. That going within 300 feet of a nest isn't good. But you know, but standing under a nest, getting too close to a nest, all those things could be disturbance of a nest. Yeah, it can be interpreted that way. Getting to them to enforce it, you know, is another trick. But, so look, you know, the eagle came back when nobody ever thought they could, right? And you know, one of the reasons that they worked so hard to bring it back, they wanted it. People in the federal government wanted it brought back for the bicentennial in 1976. That was one of their reasonings, and they did an amazing job. Scientists thought that, excuse me, scientists thought that the eagle was going to be extinct from the lower 48. They were only going to be in Alaska if you wanted to see eagles, and there's no way, no matter what we do, they're going to come back. Well, but they tried, and they did the best they could, and given half a chance, these species can make a comeback, like the bald eagle. And nobody ever thought they'd be nesting in places like this, and literally in people's backyards, which is a testament to how adaptable and how tough that bird is. Excuse me. But that doesn't stop us from being vigilant and watching and making sure that these birds and other birds are protected. And the fight is here. The fight is in suburbia and urban areas to protect these species. Too often some of our state officials think that wildlife belongs in other places. And I say you've got to protect wildlife where you find it and where it is. So again, thanks for coming out here. Thanks for showing people that you care. I know it's such a beautiful day, but you know, I appreciate it. And so next week is Eagle Festival at the Meadowlands. We're going to do a full-out celebration of the comeback of the eagle, so make sure you come and join us. That's always a lot of fun. And let's see if the eagles show back up today for us. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.